Now that said, we are looking into this, and hopefully we should see this capability added to Analyze in the future. So what's the space for remeshing tools? Okay, the next question. If I already have a service file, maybe in the VLNL file format, can I convert it to a different service format, such as SCL? Yes, you can actually do this with the Surface Extractor module. We have a convert surface option. So you would select your data set, your surface file, get the file, convert surface to surface, and then select the surface you want, your target surface, such as SCL, and hit convert, and it will do that conversion for you. Okay. Here's another question here. Can I convert a surface to a volume? So this process is known as localization, and yes, you can do that within this module. It's facilitated via the convert surface to volume option, which is found just next to the convert surface to surface option. Now, the quote-unquote volume that's generated is a binary representation of that surface that you've imported. So it'll only be one voxel thick and it won't be a solid surface, a solid volume. So say, for example, you've imported a plane, you want that plane to be filled, you need to use morphological operations in one of the other modules that we have, morphology, volume render, region of interest, to fill that object. Now, if you have a corresponding CT or MLI dataset, you could potentially multiply the binary dataset, the binary surface that you've voxelized in Analyze, with that CT or MLI to get the grayscale values for the surface or the volume. Of course, the surface and the image data would need to be registered. So there's a right-hand option checkbox on the surface window. What's this mean? That was out when we saved the surfaces out of the surface extraction module. There was a checkbox that doesn't have to be checked. Not because Analyze employs a left-handed coordinate system. Surface file softwares, softwares, FEA, FEM softwares, they employ a right-handed coordinate system. So this option ensures that the models saved from Analyze are in the correct orientation and are going to be correct when you load them into your third-party software. So it looks like we have one more question, I think. So can you derive bone volume outcomes from these segmentations within Analyze? So this is not a surface question. So you've segmented the bone and you want to generate the volume of the bone. Yeah, that's really easy. When you've done the segmentation in volume render, you can open up the volume measure tool, click on the bone you want to derive the volume for, and it'll pull back. Or you can take that into ROI and define the volume there. So that's really straightforward, and it takes no time at all. And I think that's all the questions we have. So with that, I'll just put my summary slide. So to conclude, watch out for an email tomorrow from Analyze Webinars with a link to this webinar. If you have an older version of Analyze and you want to upgrade to Analyze 10.0, please contact sales@analyzedirect.com for pricing. Older version customers and non-customers are also welcome to try Analyze free for 30 days. Just go to analyzedirect.com/evaluate to request a trial. If you have an idea or a topic for a future webinar, please email webinars@analyzedirect.com. And finally, if you have any questions, comments, if you want to connect with me to review surface segmentation in more detail or talk about the challenges that you're experiencing with your segmentation and your surface generation, I'd be more than happy to connect in a private online session to work with you on a one-to-one basis. Please feel free to email me, michael@analyzedirect.com, or you can call me on my direct line, 913-653-8303, and I'd be more than happy to facilitate that. Thank you for joining the webinar, and we hope to see you at the next one. Bye.
Hello, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Beth Farrell, and I'm going to be your presenter today. Today I'll be reviewing cardiac segmentation using volume edit. Just a few general items before we get started. The agenda for today, the duration of the webinar will be about 30 minutes, and I'm planning on covering how to use volume edit in Analyze 10.0 for cardiac segmentation from CT images, and following that I'll open it up to questions and answers. Some general objectives for today are to introduce the new volume edit module in Analyze 10.0, and also demonstrate how the segmentation tools and options that module offers can be used for segmentation, some of it in a general sense, and then also specifically for cardiac segmentation. Just a few general notes. If you have questions during the webinar, you can type those into the GoToWebinar control panel at any time. We have some people on the line that will be able to answer those for you, and then I'll also answer a few of them at the end of the webinar. Also, after the webinar, you will receive an email from Analyze Webinars that will come tomorrow, and that email will have a link where you can actually go and view the recording of the webinar. You can also forward that link on to any colleagues that may not have been able to attend today. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started. So just a quick introduction to some potential uses for cardiac segmentation. So why do people want to segment cardiac structure? Well, some uses have been to look at ventricular mass, ejection fraction, wall thickness, myocardial perfusion, different characteristics often associated with cardiac disease. So the volume edit module in Analyze 10.0, and this is what we're going to be using today to do the cardiac segmentation. This is a new module to Analyze 10.0. You can find it underneath the segment menu. And what volume edit provides is a wide array of interactive segmentation tools. You have semi-automated options as well as manual, and it also gives you an intuitive 3D interface. So you can actually directly view all three orthogonal planes at the same time, as well as a three-dimensional rendering. Now, if you're currently using the older version of Analyze and you don't have access to Volume Edit, just stay tuned at the end of the webinar, and I'll let you know how you can get a free trial of Analyze 10.0 so that you can test out Volume Edit. So I'll be showing you the Volume Edit interface here in a little bit, but just to give you a quick introduction to the features that are available. When you first enter into Volume Edit, you're going to see an edge strength tab. So this edge strength basically allows you to do kind of an edge detection, and you can restrict your semi-automated operations to the edges that are detected. When you apply the edge strength, it basically masks the volume with a threshold range of Sobel filter gradients. So the Sobel filter is also a filter that's available in the spatial filters module. And what it does is it detects gradients based on the direction of increase in voxel intensity value and also the rate of change in that direction. So basically, it just picks up edges in some terms. So when you go into the Edge Strength tab of the Volume Edit module, you're going to have a threshold slider, and when you press the threshold button, you'll see all voxels in white that are gradient values less than or equal to the threshold value. And as I mentioned before, basically this just helps prevent semi-automated operations from jumping across edges. The next tab in the Volume Edit module is the Walls tab. And a wall is basically like a three-dimensional limit. For those of you who have used AutoTrace before, whether it's in region of interest or image edit, the add limit option that's available for AutoTrace is very similar to a wall. A wall is just a three-dimensional limit. And you basically define your trace or line on a single slice, and then it's interpolated to all the other slices in that orientation. Now, Volume Edit allows you to define a separate wall in each of the three orthogonal planes, and you can have a single wall per orientation. The next tab in Volume Edit is going to be the semi-automatic tab. This is where you're going to get those semi-automatic segmentation options, obviously. The options that are available are, generally speaking, segmentation techniques like thresholding, region growing, and morphological-based segmentation. The tab immediately following that is the Manual tab, and these are the tools that you're going to use for slice-by-slice region definition. There are some options to kind of speed up that slice-by-slice definition. You can copy forward and backward your AutoTrace and your splines. These options are really designed to kind of clean up segmented regions. So the semi-automatic options may not have gotten everything you were interested in, so you may need to add or sometimes remove things using these manual tools. In addition, a really useful option here that's not immediately obvious is that you can use the trace tool to actually define regions on the three-dimensional rendering. So these are all things I'm going to show in just a few minutes. Now, before I go into the actual cardiac segmentation, I just wanted to mention a couple pre-processing steps that would be common. Those include oblique reformatting and spatial filtering. So oblique reformatting would involve reslicing the data along a particular axis. It's very common with cardiac imaging to want to do that multiplanar reformatting. And you could do that using the oblique sections module, or the value render module. Underneath the tools display menu, there's an oblique sections option there. And that allows you to define your desired oblique plane using a 3D rendering, and then you could use that oblique plane in the oblique sections to reformat all of your data. And then, as I said before, spatial filtering is another potential pre-processing step. You might choose to try to smooth your data using a low-pass or median filter using the spatial filters module. Or if you happen to be working with MR data, you might apply an inhomogeneity correction filter to adjust for some signal fall-off. So I'm going to go ahead and move in now to the actual segmentation. So you can see here I have a cardiac CT dataset loaded into my main workspace. And to open Volume Edit, I'm going to go to the Segment menu and choose Volume Edit. So you can see immediately the interface that I was talking about before, where we have our three orthogonal planes. And then eventually up in this upper right-hand corner, we will see rendering once we define our regions. So right away, I am opened up into the Edge Strength tab here, and I'm going to check the Use Edge Strength option. And to go ahead and move through and process the data and detect those gradients. And now I have the Edge Strength threshold. What I'm going to do here is you can see as I click down on the button, the images will convert to a binary display. And basically, our semi-automatic segmentation options are going to be restricted to anything that we see in white in this binary display. So I will increase my edge strength threshold just slightly. So I'm going to first go through and show you how to segment the left atrium and the aorta. Now, if you wanted to segment the ventricles, obviously you would need to, either one of the ventricles, you would obviously need to probably come back in and turn off this edge strength option later on. That's an important point to note. You can always come back and turn this off and continue doing semi-automatic segmentation. So once I have the edge strength set, I can go into the Walls tab. Now, I'm not going to define any walls today, but just to show you how this would work, you just simply check the Define Walls option, and then you get these options here. And currently it's set to brown, so whenever I click in any of the